Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Five somebody rise up weekdays. Catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good afternoon. Good evening and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in good spirits as it should, because another day above the dirt is always a blessing. Let's not forget that. All right? Should jump back and kiss yourself 17 times because you're still alive, y'all. Let us not forget that. Anyway, we got some things we have got to get into a conversation about. There's a lot of stuff going on. Man, let me just say this. The news be newsing today. I didn't expect to be hit with a tidal wave of stuff, but there is some craziness going on. I have a bunch of stuff that I've already put out on both platforms. So like I said, make sure you are fully up to date with the bells and the whistles and the notifications and all that stuff. Okay, because there's a lot of stuff going on and there's only one person, me, trying to cover all of it all at the same mother-loving time. Diggity dang. All right, so do me a favor, okay, before we get into everything, hit that like button down below, crush it, do what it do, hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. If you are watching all those other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, make sure you hit that follow button over there. Follow, please. Then, if you're watching here on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed here on my YouTube channel, okay, the main one. But make sure you go over to the secondary channel, the Pascal Show clips. Make sure you're subscribed over there because there's a lot of stuff going on over there as well. Man, a lot of stuff. Everything from Shannon Sharp to Kanye West and then some. So make sure you're subscribed to both because it's almost like I throw my B-sides. Okay, if you feel me, I do all my B-side stuff over on the second channel. So make sure you are subscribed to both. Make sure that notification bell is set to all on both channels, here and the Pascal Show clips, so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because it is random, okay? A lot of this stuff is just flooding out the gates, okay? News be news and diggity damn, okay? So please be sure to do that, okay? Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Please support this channel if you can. That'd be greatly appreciated. Check out my Patreon. Check out my locals. And, of course, check out PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. PascalMerch.com. I'm telling you right now, our stuff is fire over there. So go check it out, girl and man. Please and thank you. Okay, guys, we got to get into this. We're not going to be here for a long time, but we're here for hopefully a good time. Because, I mean, with what we're talking about, we're not talking about anything great, all right? But at least we'll be able to talk about this. Hopefully we can talk about this at like adults, okay? Keep the sandbox nice and clean, which the sandbox in which I'm talking about is the family chat, all right? We try to keep it as nice as possible, but still be able to voice our opinions, but still be respectful. Keep respect on that doggone table. Okay, please and thank you. But we have got to get into some things, okay? There's a few things that I talked about in some videos revolving around this Karmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf case, and it's been very, very wild. You must have seen the video I just recently posted a few hours ago, which, of course, obviously there has been a lot of stuff a lot that's been going on, okay? But now we have got to get into this conversation. One of them that I feel that the internet is really running with. And honestly, okay, let's address the elephant in the room, okay? First and foremost, there has been a lot of conversation about race with this whole thing. And yes, I know. But we're not here to talk about that, all right? Just I know. That is a very obvious piece of information. That is a very obvious thing. Everybody and their mama has been talking about the fact that Karmelo Anthony's black and Austin Metcalf is white. We've been talking about that till we are blue in the face. All right. A whole other color, blue. Now, here's the thing. All right. We've already talked about that. And I know it's going to still sit on the corner of the table at all times until there's a verdict that is reached and we hear whether this young man, Karmelo Anthony, is found guilty or not guilty. Also, the main debate and the main conversation, aside from it being race-related stuff, which of course we're going to be talking about a few things race-related here in just a minute. So just get ready. Don't get mad. Okay, it's all part of the conversation. All right, and we're going to try to do it as kind and as loving as we possibly can. All right. But one of the main conversations that has erupted, has taken over the internet, is this one thing. We're back at that conversation again. Is this self-defense or not? And what is considered self-defense and not self-defense? Is this whole thing that happened between these two boys, is this considered M or is this considered self-defense? That is the main question that I think a lot of people are talking about right now. A lot of people are curious about this. And of course, they're asking, does he even have a fighting chance in court? Which I mean, Karmelo Anthony. Does he even have a fighting chance? Now, one thing is for sure. Evidence will show us proof positive whether or not this is considered self-defense or not. The other thing, too, is it's up to his team of lawyers, which hopefully, they've raised over $450,000 so far. Hopefully, a good large portion of that money is going to be going, excuse me, is going to be going straight over to the legal funds. It's going to be used solely for legal funds. Hopefully that is the case. I know everybody's side-eyeing how they're going to use this money. I say we sit back, we wait to see how they use that money. All right? Let's be real. Let's just wait. But for a fact, his lawyers are not going to be cheap. And they're going to be burning the midnight oil. And I'm sure those hours, that midnight oil is not cheap either. Okay. The finest of oils, I'm sure. Right. So at the end of the day, we still have to find out how they're going to present this case, whether there's evidence or not. Now, I understand allegedly they took like 70 phones from people. 70 phones from people, guys. That's a lot. I think we can all agree on that. It's a lot. That's a lot of phones. So that's a lot of angles to see what actually happened before Austin Metcalf lost his life. And they got to comb through all of that, and then they're going to use that in court. The state will use that evidence, and defense will use that evidence as well to show proof positive what Karmelo Anthony is saying, that this was self-defense. But again, like I said, the main burning question still remains. What is considered self-defense? In the state of Texas, which, we all know that Texas be different, all right? Texas different, okay? So what is considered self-defense in Texas? What is considered deadly force? That's the other thing. Because self-defense is when somebody uses deadly force against one person and that person is protecting themselves from that deadly force, right? Trying not to get harmed, right? So the question still remains. And I've asked this like a billion different times. What is considered deadly force in the state of Texas? Legally, what do they say on paper? That for a fact, hey, in the state of Texas, verbiage, words, using the F word or something like that, or even maybe a racial slur. We don't know. What is that considered deadly force? Is that a threat? Deadly threats? Is putting your finger on somebody, boop, on their chest? Because according to the reports, Karmelo Anthony said, hey, he grabbed his bag, he stuffed his hand in the bag and said, hey, Touch me and see what happens, man. And allegedly, well, of course, there's other accounts here, mind you, but one of the reports says that Austin Metcalf walked over and goes, oh, okay. He didn't really say it like this, but you know what I mean. It's kind of like, oh, you think you tough. You want to threaten me now. Okay. I touch you. What going to happen? Now I'm touching you. I'm touching you on your chest. What's up, man? Right? And then he said something else like, hey, punch me and see what happens. Allegedly. That's what we heard from another person. And then Austin allegedly grabbed him. And then, of course, he lost his life. But the thing is touching his chest, is that considered deadly force in the state of Texas? What is considered deadly force, y'all? It could be as simple as him just going, F you, man, get the hell out of here. It could be that. Or it could be something much more aggressive. That is still a question that they need to debate and talk about in court. But again, like I said, all the evidence, they have 70 plus cell phones in their possession, allegedly. The state or the law enforcement does. They have 70 different angles of this altercation that I'm sure will give us a clear as day understanding of what actually happened. But I know that the debate out here has been pretty intense and it's been going absolutely knuckin' futs. Now, here's the thing. First and foremost, I do have to do a little bit of a recap, okay? Now, just the other day, Saturday, okay, the day before Easter, there was a guy by the name of Jake Lang. We all talked about this guy at great lengths, okay? He's a former J6er. He was actually incarcerated for his activity, for his part in the riots, okay, on January 6th. He was locked up for many, many years, okay? He was locked up for 4 years, just about, until he was actually pardoned by Trump once Trump went into office for his second term. So now he's out. And he has been on a political run because he's trying to get a Senate seat in Florida, in the state of Florida. So he sees this situation that happens with Austin Metcalf and this whole thing. And he says he felt emboldened. He felt motivated to say, hey, I'm going to take my MAGA wrapped bus and we're going to drive out to Texas, to the area where this young man lost his life. And we are going to stage or put together a protest on behalf of protecting white Americans. Yes, this was a real thing. It did exist. In fact, I'm going to pull up the flyer right here so we can all see it again. Just a quick reminder, wherever the hell that flyer. Oh, there it is. Just so we can see this flyer one more again. There it is. It exists. This is very much what the flyer was or is. And he shared this with Austin Metcalf's face all up on it, his name, etc., his likeness, all that. We already knew about all this, okay? We knew that allegedly Jake Lang did not get the blessing from the family. They did not condone this. They did not give him the okay, the thumbs up, being like, go on, brother. Speak on behalf of other white Americans. No, he did not even have a conversation with them at all. And yet he still used this man's likeness, his name, and then he did this protest because he's so tired of black violence on white Americans. I'm just reading exactly what's on the flyer. I'm not making this up, okay? This is literally what he says on the flyer. It is called Protect White Americans. It could have been, I will say this too, it could have literally been a flyer saying, stop the violence. It could have literally just been that. But no, he decided to say, oh, white Americans are being terrorized by black Americans. What? I mean, this is basically what the rhetoric he was saying out there, standing on top of his MAGA-wrapped bus, talking to 7 people at best. We all saw it. We talked about it. And we laughed about it too because it was hilarious. But he was hoping for a huge turnout. And it did not turn out the way he wanted it to turn out. So much that he was so mad which we got to talk about that. And it's just a little recap of everything. But I do want to share with you guys this again. After his whole speech, like I said, it was like 9 people in the room or in the area. Okay. Allegedly, there were a lot of people hiding in their cars, allegedly, because they were too scared. And I get it. I mean, if you are a full-on racist and you're running out to this protest, yeah, you might lose your job. You might get exposed and lose your job. Yeah, because people don't like racists. Last I checked. Okay? People don't like racists. So they still did their thing. He was live streaming it, doing his thing, whatever. All right. And then afterwards, as soon as he gets down, he gets a chance to have a conversation. All right. With the father of Austin Metcalf, Jeff Metcalf. And I want to replay this because because there's something else that happened after this, that after this interaction that I do want to share with y'all before we go into the conversation and the debate that has been taking over the doggone world right now as far as self-defense or if this is actual M. Okay. But this is just glorious. In my personal opinion, this feels like a scene from a comedy movie. All right. But he has a conversation with Jeff Metcalf, and it goes a little something like this.
Fight. Hey, Jeff, it's Jake Lang here.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
Jeff, first of all, my entire heart rests in your hands. I would be in my position, not even as somebody even knew your son, but somebody that shares the same understanding. I grew up as a 17-year-old young white man too, and I grew up in fear of my life around black people because they were killing and robbing people around me all the time. And I don't understand, as I was a father, you could sit idly by and not condemn the culture that killed your son. There is an epidemic problem in this country, and your voice could be one of the loudest voices in this country, but you've chosen to recoil out of fear and continue the suppression. Why will you not stand with me and with the rest of the people? We're not calling for racial divide. We're not calling for hatred. We're saying 350,000 attacks on white people by black people a year in this country is wrong.
Now, let me just say this really quick. If you want somebody on your side, you don't belittle them right off the bat. You don't sit there and go, I don't understand why you're not standing with us and blah, blah, blah. If you're really wanting to get something from them, you're not saying stuff like this. I'm just letting you know. Okay, I don't care what side of the fence you're on. I don't care if you think that Karmelo did this out of self-defense or if you stand with the other side saying that, Karmelo should burn and all that stuff. I do not care. I'm just spitting facts right now. This guy is approaching the grieving father right now in the worst way possible. This is not how you approach somebody who's grieving. I don't understand why you should be standing with us and blah, blah, blah. You don't do that, man. If you just want to say, hey, we just want you here with us, would it be possible to sit down and talk to you, etc.? You pay people with respect. You don't talk to them like this. But this is not, see, but if this guy's running for Senate, okay. Because he's not reading the room, all right? There's no respect here at all. None. It gets worse, too. But I'm just trying to point something out. How he's berating Jeff Metcalf on the phone like this. It's like, bruh, come on, man. You need to be better than this. Man.
Why can't you stand that and say with that? Maybe you can. Would you be willing to stand by me in a press conference or in an individual interview and talk about this issue that is larger than Austin at this point? God rest the beautiful young man's soul that would have been one of our strongest voices if he was still alive today.
Now, I do want to point this out. He said, oh, yeah, another strong white voice speaking on behalf of this, right? Another strong white voice, a very intelligent, strong white man speaking on behalf of this. What? Nah. Don't get me wrong. Yes, there's a lot of violence going on everywhere, and we need to stop the violence in general. But at the same time, come on now. Come on. He took race and he slapped that onto a flyer. Trust me. Let me peep you on game real quick. You don't think that there would have been a better turnout if he took out white and black off that flyer? If he put up there saying, protect Americans, stop the violence in America, stop our young kids hurting each other and taking each other's lives. We need to be better than this. Let's do a stop the violence movement, right? You don't think everybody and their mama would have shown up? But as soon as he said white and black and put out some sort of racial bias on this whole thing, that's why you saw everybody, the people who wanted to be there in solidarity, hiding in cars. That's why you only saw 7 people out there in that parking lot, damn near tumbleweeds going around, just blowing in the wind, rolling down the parking lot. You don't think that if he cut those things out, those very triggering words, you don't think that he would have had a better turnout? Trust me, he would have had a better turnout if he took those things out, but he decided not to do that now because he had his own agenda. And he's hoping that because he's got the MAGA bus and he's, dressed a certain way and he's throwing white on the thing and saying black people are bad, white people good, he's hoping that it's going to bring some more attention to his campaign. Yes, I said it. And then when he talks to the grieving father, he's talking to him like the way he just talked. So let's hear what the pop's got to say now. Okay? Because what he says to him is exactly what he deserves. Sorry, not sorry.
Are you done?
Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, my turn to speak. You are part of the problem, my friend. You're trying to create more race divide than bridging the gap. I do not condone anything you do. You do not have any...
That's called white guilt.
No, let it talk. Of my son, let me finish. I give you your time. You take my son's face off your website. I am not associated with you.
You're creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness, sir. You are creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness.
Okay, now we've seen this video quite a bit. Okay, I played it for you guys earlier. I had it on a pop-up video as well, reacting to the whole thing. And I'm going to tell you this. I said it before and I'll say it again. I am very happy that the father of Austin Metcalf said what he said. Now, I know that there's other people out here that are trying to take it and trying to spin it and be like, oh, yeah, he's just some dumb leftist guy. Listen, you can still be MAGA. You can still be right. You can still be conservative and just want equality and just want peace on earth. What the hell? Why does it have to suddenly be if he turned to the guy and said, F you got it all wrong and you're bridging the gap, why does it suddenly have to be a leftist thing? So only leftist people want to have equality and have life on earth where we are all coexisting and living in a copacetic, peaceful environment? That's ridiculous. But I'm seeing those things out here in these internet streets, and it's absolutely mind-blowing to me. Oh, he's just some dumb, brainwashed leftist. It's like, what the hell? What are you guys? What are you on? What world do you live in? That's some crazy stuff. And sad. Because I would hope that people who are conservative and those that are liberal are not just looking at color all the time, that want to have a world where we can all live together in harmony and in peace without kids taking the lives of each other, whether or not it is self-defense or not. We need to be better than this, man. That's crazy. It's crazy. Okay? But damn right the father said what he said. Okay? But that's the thing. You see how Jake Lang responds, how he reacts to the grieving father who's basically saying, hey, there was never a discussion with me about this. I never gave you the okay to use my son's face or his name. How dare you use his name? Because all I'm trying to do is not cause problems. I'm not trying to make this be a white and black thing and make this a race thing. I am just trying to go on with my life and let Karmelo and his family deal with whatever's going to be handed to him when he sees the inside of a courtroom. But this guy has the audacity to try to sit there and say, oh, well, that now you're creating more Austin Metcalfs in the world. You just destroyed your whole campaign. Real talk, because you don't think people are going to forget that? Forget this interaction? And the other thing, too, is, you know what? F it. You know, since we talk about black and white and all that stuff, given the fact that, what if that was a grieving mother? Yeah, I said it. What if it was Metcalf's mother that said that reacted the same way that Jeff Metcalf reacted, and you spoke to the mother that way? Do you know that the internet would implode on his ass? Literally. They would implode on his ass. Okay? So again, it just doesn't make sense. And it's wrong. All right? But then, oh boy. It just keeps going. Okay? It just keeps going. So we have to talk about this BS. This some bull. Okay. Remember the black guy that was with him? Jake from State Farm. Okay. He's another guy who is incarcerated as well for the J6 stuff too, just so you know. Now, he went to his ex and he had some things to say too, because he says here, the full story of what happened at the protest yesterday and how Austin Metcalf's dad is 100% in the wrong. Okay. You want to hear this? This is interesting. Let's take a look and a little listen to his moving the goalpost.
So I'm going to tell you all right now, ignore the people that rushed to attack me and Jake Lang. They have personal beef with us in the past, and they're using this to attack us for other reasons that they're not being honest with you about. So ignore that. We're going to give you the full story right now.
Okay, so real quick, you're telling me that everything that went down was because you have haters out here because of things that you guys have done in the past. So this is solely just because of haters in the past. This has nothing to do with the fact that you just took some kid's name and then plastered it all over flyers and made it even more of a racial thing by going out there and doing a protect white Americans protest. I'm sorry. I just feel like people are going to have a guttural reaction to something like this, especially when you have the family condemning you from doing this. But okay. Okay. But this all has to do with J6, I guess, and where you stand politically. And that's it. All right, bro, let's go.
What went down yesterday, where we had a peaceful protest against anti-white racism and violence. Now, we went there and we had a peaceful protest, and we're doing everything we were supposed to do. And because Jeff Metcalf, Austin Metcalf's father, saw the poster and it says protect white Americans, he says, okay, I don't like the way that sounds, so I'm going to send my handler. I'm going to send my handler to attack, destroy, and humiliate these people. Not to have a good faith conversation, not to say, hey, just want to let you know respectfully, there's some things that I don't want you to do. If you had come to us, at the beginning of the protest and said, there's a certain things I don't want you to say, then that would have been fine. That would have been cool.
But here's the thing, though. You were using the kid's face and his name and plastering this whole thing of protect white people and stop black violence on white Americans. That's literally what you were doing. So no matter what, you went up there and you were on top of a doggone bus. Who's to say that the guy didn't even know about it until later on? A lot of us thought this whole thing, that this protest was fake. A lot of us thought it was fake. We thought it was like another person just trolling, making a flyer for ish and giggles. You mean to tell me that if they had a conversation ahead of time, you would have taken his face off those flyers? You wouldn't be going on TV shows or shows, big platforms, promoting and letting people know about this whole thing. The whole thing was garnered off of the back of Austin Metcalf's dead body. I said it. So if he called you ahead of time and said, take all that ish down, you would have done that? Then that protest would have been done. that protest would have been over by then. It would not have happened. So miss me with the nonsense.
You didn't do that. You sent your handler in to try to destroy us, and you had him wait until the very end of the protest after we said everything, after we did all the speeches, all the interviews. Wait till then, and you sent him in to destroy us. That's what you tried to do. Try to ambush us.
Where's the ambush if the protest was done already, bro? Think about that for a second. The protest was already done, and then he had a conversation with y'all. So you even had a chance to even just talk. Y'all just had a conversation. Y'all had an opportunity to talk and talk your talk on top of that MAGA bus. Real talk. How are you ambushed would be cutting you off, stopping you from getting on top of that bus and preaching the rhetoric that you put out. Just saying. So ambushed my ass.
And you're pushing this narrative that we're racist and white trash when you did not hear a single word that any of us said, when you did not see a single one of us. I was like the main speaker at that event aside from Jake, and I'm not even white.
You were the only two speakers aside from the drunk guy that got pepper sprayed, but okay. And there was like 7 people at the doggone protest. So, okay.
You don't even know who you are talking about. You don't know anything about us. And you're throwing all this hate and vitriol at us because you had this planned out from the beginning. And when you get on the phone, right? And here's the funny thing. At the very end, he shows up, your handler shows up, and he could have come with any tone. It could have been nice, but he comes with hostility, with a clear objective to take us down. And we don't even know who he is at that point in time. We just think he's some random dude who's upset because we said the truth about certain things, about, racism against white people and how they are the victim of terrible things. We're thinking, okay, he's upset that he heard that or something, but really he has an insidious agenda that you sent him with, and that's really what was going on there. And he's trying to, talk with us and get us worked up, and then he's going to pull out the phone and call you so you can go off on us and scream at us when really you could have just talked to us like normal people.
See, this is where I get frustrated because he only started raising his voice when Jake Lang was talking over him, when he said, "Hey, so you done? Are you done talking? Because I heard you. So now's my turn to speak." And he's letting you know, I'm not okay with this. And the dude had the audacity to be disrespectful to a grieving father. And now you're saying that he was the one yelling. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Oh man, some people are just so disconnected to human beings that they can't even read the room. Okay, again, you got to miss me with the nonsense here, guys. But again, like I said, this is the problem with some people, with people that live on this planet. They get so stuck in their own agenda. They get stuck in their own narrative that they can't even see the forest through the trees. They can't even see what's really going on here. That you got a family that's sitting there going, please don't do that. Please don't use that stuff. And yet you did. You didn't ask for any okay. You didn't get the go ahead. You got nothing. You just did that so you can get some looks in your direction and hopes to get some sort of, I don't know, some votes for your boy Jake from State Farm. I mean, this is just the moving of the goalpost is ridiculous. But what's so sad about this too is that there's going to be a group of people that are going to be like, right on, brother. What you said? How dare they do that to you? This is messed up. F them Metcalfs. They're messed up. Wrong for what they did. Let them speak what they need to speak, even though you can watch all of this online and see exactly what went down. They were up there on top of a doggone bus for over an hour and 10 some odd minutes. I'm not kidding. Preaching and talking about all those things. So again, they let you speak. You had an hour and some odd minutes. He destroyed you guys in less than 30 seconds. That's the problem. And now you guys fell on your face in front of everybody. That's why you're upset. Let's see it and let's call it out for what it is. Okay?
You wouldn't even have to be all polite and super respectful. None of that. You could just literally talk to us like some guy walking down the sidewalk on the street, and that would have been fine. But you came at us with hate out of nowhere, blindsided us with that shit. So yeah, you're 100% in the wrong, Mr. Metcalf. And honestly, it's funny how you have so much affection for the guy who killed your son, sells t-shirts, sells merchandise, is raising money off of it, and then making a joke out of your son, making memes and jokes about it online. Yet you want to act like you're so angry that your son's picture was put on a protest poster in your favor, in the favor of your son. You want to act like you're mad about that when there's a protest just blocks away, saying that your son got what he deserved? Seriously, you're mad at us? That's what really doesn't make sense to us. Because we were defending you when your family got swatted. We were defending you and standing up for you when your son got killed. We were defending your son when they're making a joke out of how he got stabbed and killed, like it was a joke. We were defending you. We were fighting for you the entire time. But you don't know that and you don't care. You just see a poster and you think about, okay, I don't like what that says for whatever reason. And then you decide, I'm going to send my handler in to destroy them. Not to have an honest discussion, not to make a list of things that you do or don't want us to do, just to do harm, just to try to take us down and humiliate us. So yeah, you're 100% in the wrong. I don't give a fuck if you're a grieving father. I don't give a damn about that. That does not give you an excuse to be pulling some ambush shit like that.
People like that exist, everybody. People like that exist. Here it is. That's his opinion. If that's what he wants to feel, so be it. Let's be real. He has every right, just like Jake Lang has every right to speak whatever they want to talk about. They can go on and stand on top of a bus, on top of a trash can, on top of a toilet. I don't care. And talk about whatever the hell they want. That's their legal right. That's their First Amendment right. There it is. Doesn't mean that I have to listen to it, but I will say this. You may want to make sure that the people that you're using, the face of a kid, okay, that you're using, make sure that it's okayed by the family before you even do anything. Because let's be real. There's a lot of people out here that would most likely be down for you to use their kid's likeness, okay, and be out there doing what you do. But the thing is that you wouldn't know because you're not asking the right questions and you're not doing the respectful thing, which is asking for permission. Now you could be looking at a potential lawsuit for doing what you did. That's dumb on your part. That's not on his. And here it is too. He has every right. Jeff Metcalf and the family has every right to be angry. Every right to be angry. You never reached out to see if it was okay, y'all. Not once. So of course you're going to get people angry. You didn't expect that to happen? Just saying. If you don't give a damn, then you don't give a damn. If you don't give a damn, then don't use that particular kid's face, period. If you don't care about him being a grieving father and you don't have any sensitivity in your heart for that, then go, man, go find another kid to talk about. Then get up out their business then and talk about something else. There's plenty other kids that lost their lives at the hands of a black person, I'm sure. And then you could still use the Protect White Americans movement and all that crap. Come on now. Come on. So just ridiculous and just absolutely dumb. Okay. Now, there was another thing that I talked about in this in a video earlier today where they were talking about the possibility of him actually not having a knife, that Karmelo Anthony did not have a mother-loving knife. Now, first off, let me just say this. He had a knife, man. Dag nabbit. He admits to doing what he did. He had a knife, dag nabbit. So let's not put that information out here with the BS. Let's just miss the BS for a second. Whatever rumor that's been put out here being like, oh yeah, he attacked him with a cleat sharpener. What? So in other words, he went and he attacked Austin Metcalf with metallic sandpaper. Okay? Real talk, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my whole entire life. I get it. There's going to be people out here that are going to make things up just to make one side of the story look better than the other. But come on. A cleat sharpener? That's a new one for me. Okay? Just like Brian Koberger saying, I needed to go out and see the moon and the stars at 4 o'clock in the morning. Yes, sir. That's what I was doing. I went out to the woods because I needed to see the trees and the dandelions in the darkness, and I needed to see the moon and the stars around 3-something. When those 4 kids were getting killed, I was over there looking at the moon and the stars. I tell you what, I just needed to see them moon and them stars, man. Just letting you know. So cleat sharpener? That's a new one. That's a new one. That's a new one. That's a new one, guys. It's not real. It's not new. It's not real. It's fake news. That's what I was trying to say. It's fake mother-loving news. So let's just put that to bed. Actually, dig a 6-foot deep hole. Throw it in there. Throw the dirt on top of it. Lay out some mother-loving concrete so we never go back to that ever again. Okay? Set it and forget it and walk away. Okay? Because that is a real thing now too. Or at least that's what's being said out here in these streets. It's not real. Just so you know, it's not real. The police found a knife. Okay? Just a quick reminder. They found a mother-loving knife. In fact, I have it here already queued up, so let's take a look at this. All right? Officers on the scene were informed that the knife, the kniff, okay, that was used was tossed and was still believed to be somewhere close. Eventually, one of the witnesses said they remember seeing it on the bleachers still. Officer Shawls was able to locate the knife, the kniff. Okay? It was located between rows 9 and 10 near the seat 30, closest to the aisle, partially open. So it was kind of like one of those switchblades type things. It opens like that. You know what I'm saying? Okay? So they found it, the kniff. They found the mother-loving kniff, not a cleat sharpener, which he beat him to his demise? You can't stab somebody with something like that, baby. You just can't. So he had one of those, folding knives, okay? That's what he had. And then he used it. Now, I already know somebody out here somebody who's trying to move the goalposts and trying to change the narrative as best as they can, all right? They're going to sit there and even say, well, maybe that knife was planted. Stop. Stop it. Okay? Please, stop. Stop it. Okay? That'd be greatly appreciated. Just don't. He used a knife. He took that kid's life. Karmelo Anthony admits that he indeed is the one that took Austin Metcalf's life. It does not matter what side you see it. Doesn't matter if it's self-defense or not. Okay? Does not matter. All right? He admits that he was the one. He said, I am not alleged. I did it. At least according to the police report. So, again, we just need to sit back, wait for the evidence, and stop with the BS. Oh, and speaking of BS, here's something that I thought was interesting as well. So, remember Jake from State Farm? Yeah. He went to some school, some track field, okay, some track, and did this BS. Now, again, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my whole entire life, just to create some drama, stir the pot, and be like, come on over and let's keep on spreading that racial hate, right? So let's take a look at this BS, because this actually happened while he was there before the protest that he had.
Stadium. There's the blood stain. There is the blood stain. It's red still. Austin Metcalf's blood. Lord Jesus, help us. It's crying out for justice. His killer is home right now. I got to get out of here before the police come. I just hopped the fence to get in here. His blood is crying out for justice. We need that killer behind bars. We will not rest. We need to protect white Americans. This scourge of black violence is too much. Okay, Kendall Stadium. We need to uplift our communities. I got to get out of here, guys. I think I hear the cops coming.
Oh my gosh, he hears the cops coming, so he's got to run. I'm sorry. Hold on. Does that look like blood to you? Go ahead, take a look. Take a good look. Is it? Because last I checked, blood doesn't stain like that, and that be rust. That looks like a rust stain, y'all. This guy doesn't even know the difference between rust stains on concrete and blood. Yeah. And then he's acting like, oh no, the cops are coming. He had to run. he had to run. And it rained, didn't it? And it rained. Where's the rest of the blood? Where's the blood, though? Where's the rest of the blood? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like the rust made like a streak. You know what I mean? Like a little poop stain on the ground. But he's saying that this be blood. Come on now. Come on now. Oh, the cops are coming. Oh my gosh. What is this, Blair Witch Project again? The cops are coming. I gotta go. I'm trespassing. I'm doing something so bad, but I need to show everybody how bad and how gruesome the scene is. I gotta run. I gotta go. I gotta go see the moon and the stars. I'm just gonna let that sink in. Just take a look. Just consume that for a second. That was in real time. Stupidity in real time. I'm sorry, but stupidity in real time. I said it. I don't care. Okay? Like, I wish some show was parodying that, because that's hilarious. Okay? Real talk. Hilarious. That is not a crime scene. He just found anything on the ground and said, it could have been a doggone stick. It could have been a rock over there. He'd be like, there it is. His finger is still there, rotting under the sun. But I gotta go because the cops are coming. The cops are coming. He definitely did some high school theater as a kid, I'm sure. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm just sometimes you don't have enough time to let these stories really sink in. But that is something funny. Okay? I'm sorry. You know what? I can't. I got to roll that one more time. Not the whole thing. The end part just kills me. He's like, I'm really here at the stadium. Take a look. And then I got to go because the cops are coming. Cops are coming. They might be finding me. Oh my God. I'm trespassing. I'm breaking the law.
Okay, Kendall Stadium. We need to uplift our communities. I got to get out of here, guys. I think I hear the cops coming.
Oh my God. Like, is it a skit? It's a skit. Okay? It's a skit. It's a skit. It's got to be. It's a skit. But okay. That is a real thing, guys. That is a real thing. Okay. Sorry, hold on. That's interesting too. Oh, dear Lord. Look at this. This is on the page too. Readers added context they thought people might want to know. So the individual in this video is filming on the home side of the stadium. Okay, this is apparently what a district spokeswoman said. The incident occurred on the visitor side. So the tragedy happened on a completely other side. So nowhere near where that rust stain was. All right. Literally on the other side. So the incident happened on the visitor side, which can be seen across the field when he turns the camera off himself. So he was there. He really was there. He was just on the wrong side. And then the fact that he says, see this rust stain right here. This is blood. This is the blood of Austin Metcalf. We need to stand in solidarity, brothers and sisters. Wrong place. He just found some dirt on the ground and said, that be the crime scene, girl. Okay. So, let's get into this conversation. There's a lot of things that we need to talk about, all right? One thing is for sure. We've been wanting to know exactly what's been going on. Is this self-defense or is this actually M? There are some things here, some conversations that I want to share with y'all talking about this. And again, something I thought was interesting, Tim Pool. Yes, I said Tim Pool, okay? He had a person on the show who literally wrote the book on self-defense. He literally wrote a book on self-defense. So I wanted to bring that up and have a conversation with you guys about that and see this and see some of the discussion that was being had here, because I think that this is a very interesting conversation. Okay. And then what's interesting is that they also have a cop on the show. Then they also have one of the other founders, one of the co-founders of Give, Send, Go. The same Give, Send, Go, the same crowdfunding website that the Anthony family is using to raise money for his legal funds. So there's a lot that's being said in the very beginning of this video that I think is important. One of the main questions still remains: is this really self-defense or not? And what is considered self-defense? Okay, that's one of the things that I think is really important, and we need to put that into consideration big time. All right, but before we get into this, all right, I see a bunch of y'all in here. Do me a favor, hit that like button down below, crush it, do what it do, hit that reaction button. That'll be greatly appreciated. Hit that follow button. If you're watching on other platforms, hit that subscribe button, subscribe. Again, that would be greatly appreciated. All right. And then, I got to get going because the cops are on me right now. They might be here. I think they're right here. But anyway, I just want to play a little bit of this, okay? I'm going to have to crank up the speed most likely. But I think that this is a conversation nonetheless that I think we all need to hear, okay? So this is something that I think is interesting. Let's take a look at this. Hit that like button down below, please and thank you. Can we get it to like 700 likes, okay? 700 likes. That helps the channel. It helps the show to continue growing and all that, okay? That would be greatly appreciated. Also, let me get some of these super chats here really quick. True Crime, thank you so much for the love. That's not his agenda. He wants racial divide. Absolutely. I mean, that's obvious. He went out there and said what he said and all that. It has nothing to, no. His agenda is political for sure. He's out there in his suit and all that stuff. But at the same time, yeah, he was hoping for some sort of chaos. He was hoping for a big turnout and chaos, right? But let's continue on. True Crime, thank you again for the super chat. I appreciate it. It would be nice if you do a live comparing the case to Case and Allison and Joe Ramirez case. Yeah, I will be, shoot, when I get some time, I'll definitely be doing some sort of talk about the Case and Allison case. But yeah, that'll be on a separate conversation and on the separate time. Mrs. and Mr. Steelers, welcome back. And thank you so much again for being a member for 35 months. I appreciate it. Also, guys, please consider becoming a member by hitting that join button down below. That'd be greatly appreciated. It says, wow, looking at the big picture, it's beyond ironic to protect whites in this country that's real rich considering history. You said it, not me. Okay, but again, welcome to our world. We live in a very interesting and very biased world. Again, this is the wrong, that they chose the wrong kid. They chose the wrong time. And, you know, I'm sure there's going to be something out there. There's going to be some case out there where they will get the thumbs up for, and it'll be extremely racially motivated, worse than this one. Okay. But not today, not on this one. Okay. But let's get into this. Okay. Let us get into this piece. All right. Because there's a lot that's being discussed in here. And I think this is good and important for all of us to hear. So let's rock and roll.
Austin began grabbing his chest and telling everyone to get help. Redacted advised he did not know Anthony's name, but stated another Memorial Track member who goes by the initials E and P was friends with Anthony and could identify Anthony. Redacted described Anthony as a black male, skinny with possibly a goatee, short, puffy hair, wearing Centennial High School clothing. And that concluded his contact. Another officer, I don't know how much detail we need to go in on the second one because it's relatively similar. But the second witness account was that Karmelo Anthony was actually pacing back and forth beneath the tent. So that's an important addition to the claim because it implies, I think it implies he had the ability to flee at any moment. So the argument that there was a threat of death upon him was that if he's pacing back and forth, according to one of the witnesses, he could have paced well out of the way of any harm. But that's in this.
Even without that, of course, the challenge to him was leave. So he was being given the opportunity to leave.
Now, I just want you to know, this is the guy who wrote the book on self-defense. Literally, that's his book in the background. And so, of course, this is the reason why we're bringing this up, because I wanted to hear somebody who claims to be an expert on this whole subject matter, right? So he does say a lot in the very beginning of this that I think is very interesting.
That's the second account. The second account doesn't mention the punch me and see what happens, just the touch me and see what happens, and it added that he was pacing back and forth. So what would, like, give us what you need in Texas for something to be self-defense?
You need to have a reasonable perception that you're facing an imminent unlawful threat of deadly force harm, and you need not to have provoked that conflict.
But interestingly, too,
I'm gonna repeat that again because I think that's very interesting. Okay. I hate when it gets stuck like this. That's what she said.
Texas for something to be self-defense.
You need to have a reasonable perception that,
like, give us what you need in Texas for something to be self-defense.
You need to have a reasonable perception that you're facing an imminent unlawful threat of deadly force harm, and you need not to have provoked that conflict.
But
okay,
interestingly, too,
so
Texas,
that's very important. I'm pull that back again because I don't want to misquote him. I hate when this happens, but I want you to hear it one more time.
You need to have a reasonable perception that you're facing an imminent unlawful threat of deadly force harm.
So you need to have an idea that something bad's happening. Okay.
And you need not to have provoked that conflict.
And you need something, you need to not have that provoked. Like you're walking into an area, person walks up to you and starts talking in your face and is shoving you and doing all that stuff. That is unprovoked. But if he walked up and was like, hey man, F you, and he starts the argument himself, that's another conversation in itself, right? Then, and if he was putting his hands on, let's just say putting his hands on Austin Metcalf, then yeah, he's provoking. He's trying to start some ish, right? As you know, we all know, don't start no ish, there'll be no ish, right? So again, that is very important to hear as far as the argument on self-defense or not self-defense.
But interestingly too, Texas doesn't require you to flee at all.
Well, there's a catch there. So Texas is a stand your ground state. In fact, it's what I call a hard stand your ground state. If you qualify for stand your ground, the jury's not even allowed to consider the possibility that you could have retreated in evaluating whether your self-defense was reasonable. But if you can be characterized as the provoker, if you provoke the confrontation, you reacquire. You don't qualify for stand your ground as a provoker, and you reacquire a legal duty to retreat. So to the extent the prosecution can argue that Karmelo Anthony provoked this confrontation with his touch me, see what happens dialogue.
There it is.
That would lose him stand your ground, and he would have a legal duty to retreat.
So
Interesting, right? I'm repeating that again because I think that's important.
Reacquire. You don't qualify for stand your ground as a provoker, and you reacquire a legal duty to retreat. So to the extent the prosecution can argue that Karmelo Anthony provoked this confrontation with his touch me, see what happens dialogue, that would lose him stand your ground, and he would have a legal duty to retreat.
So now that's the argument. See what I'm saying? So the argument now is, okay, he was there. Let's just say Austin went up to him and said, bro, what are you doing here? Get the F out of here. Get out from under our tent. Go back to your team. The hell you doing here? Could have been over a girl. Could have been over nothing. That's the other rumor and speculation that's been going on as well. People are wondering maybe this all had to do with a girl. Maybe he walked over there and he was trying to step to some girl, and maybe Austin Metcalf felt some type of way about it because that's a girl that he's trying to talk to or whatever. We don't know. But here's the thing. If he says, touch me and find out, touch me and see what happens, is that provoking? Is that provoking harm? That's another question that is still needed to be answered. And again, I appreciate and I'm happy that we have somebody here to talk and bring it all out. Now, I don't know the answer, okay? And neither do you. But hopefully, when there's evidence that comes out, we're going to see for real what went down. Well, all we're hearing right now is hearsay. All we're hearing is him say, I told him not to touch me. He effed around and he found out kind of thing, right? We don't know exactly how it went down. But if he did say something along the lines of, hey, touch me and see what happens, is that provoking violence or is that not? Is that him giving a fair warning, almost like a warning shot in the air? Like, yo, I got my pew-pew. I'm about to bust caps. If you get anywhere near me, bang, see, it works. We got some bullets. And I'm nice with this. Step off. Is that considered a warning shot when he says, hey, step off? You touch me, you're going to find out. Is that a warning or is that provoking violence? Let's continue on.
what do you guys think? You think he provoked it?
Yeah. That's how I hear those words.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
You're more of the, you've got a neutral fundraising platform.
Yes.
You're not trying to be involved, but I'm curious your thoughts on this case. So let me just throw some information first. Gives and Go allows people to raise money for legal defense.
Right.
Regardless of the
This is the co-founder, one of the other co-founders of Give, Send, Go, just so you guys know. All right, let's take a look at this. This is interesting.
presumption of guilt or innocence or otherwise. And you've gotten a lot of feet from people for allowing them to run a fundraiser, but you've also allowed many, many others. I believe Luigi Mangione has a fundraiser.
He does. And like you said, many, many, many others. Like I could go through a laundry list of people that the right would potentially consider heroes. The Kyle Rittenhouses, the Daniel Pennies. I mean, Daniel Penny's situation, I don't think the guy, he verbally said some stuff, but I don't think he had even punched or struck anybody, Jordan Neely, before Daniel Penny intervened in that situation. So we've allowed campaigns across the board. We believe in that presumption of innocence. With this case, obviously you can see what you can see, but the problem is there's so much that we don't know. I mean, you can try to adjudicate these things and talk about the facts that we know, but I believe that there is so much that we still don't know. And it makes it very difficult, which is why we take the principled stance that we take.
I'm going to say this. And I'm going to say it as shockingly and offensive to everybody as I can, as fast as I can. Then I'm going to pause for 5 seconds, and then you're all going to agree with me. I'm talking to the audience. So let me offend you first. Karmelo Anthony will be acquitted. He will be found not guilty. Okay, so everybody's sufficiently angry because far left writers are going to threaten the jurors, and the jurors are going to bend the knee. Not
What? Wow.
because he's actually innocent. That's what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to be like the Arbery case. I think it's going to be like the Floyd case with Chauvin. Where they're going to imprison, the jury is going to side with whatever the left is, and the writers will not be imprisoned or face justice.
I personally think,
that is a statement. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that entirely. I don't know. I honestly believe that Karmelo Anthony he has an uphill battle. I'm going to keep it a bean. He has an uphill battle. ahead of him. He's got a long journey to prove some semblance of innocence. Curious as to how they're going to actually present that in court, regardless of what side you guys stand on. I'm being real. He's got a long journey ahead of him to prove innocence, or even the state to sit there and prove that this is 110% first degree M. Again, for them to say that it is first degree M, we got to see the evidence. And that evidence could be clear as day, right? It could show proof positive that, yeah, he came after that guy and he took Austin Metcalf's life. It was unprovoked. It came out of nowhere. He just snapped and lost his doggone mind. But we don't have that proof yet. But again, it'll be up to his team to show proof positive if it is self-defense or not. And that's going to be a tough fight. That's going to be a long and tough fight. But again, this guy, Give Send Go, the co-founder of Give Send Go, is sitting here going like, what's interesting about this is everybody was all about Kyle Rittenhouse raising his money, Chauvin raising his money, Daniel Penny raising his money on our platform. And now they're coming after the platform that they were okay with earlier in these other cases before, and they're trying to shut the whole doggone thing down because they're raising money for a case that they don't agree with, because this case does not fit their political bias, right? And some racial bias. So again, this is a very, very interesting case. Like I said, it's going to be a very wild and interesting way that they present innocence and or guilt within this particular case.
This is why one of the reasons why we allow campaigns for things like this is so that somebody in a situation, Karmelo in this scenario, can have the best defense, and it actually removes some of the vitriol on the left in this case from being able to say he was unjustly given. He wasn't given afforded the same defense situation that these other ones. It actually removes that or decreases the likelihood of that, because they're going to have to sit back at the end of whatever comes out here, and they're going to say, you know what, he raised $500,000. He actually was able to hire a private attorney and get a great defense. And that's, to me, a calming effect. It's another reason why we allow these types of campaigns.
And by the way, that would be...
I agree as well. He has every right as an American citizen, like we talked about this blue in the face a million times before. He has every right as an American citizen to find the best legal representation to present him and argue his case. That's it. Same thing with like the Brian Kobergers of the world, all of them, even the ones that we do not agree with 100%, right? The ones that we were like, no, that guy or that person did that and that person should rot. They still deserve a chance to fight in trial. And then, of course, let the justice come crashing upon them like a thousand bows and arrows. I don't know, but you know what I'm saying, okay? In this particular situation, everyone feels some type of way because there's a instant bias to this. Okay, like for example, Lori Vallow's case. I think now it's over now, right? I think that she, because she's up for she was up for the unaliving of one of her husbands, right? She decided to represent herself in trial, which is dumb as hell. It's so dumb. Don't ever do that. But she wanted to lose. That's basically what it is. You really want to lose if you're going to represent yourself. If you're going to be your own lawyer, you want to lose. Okay? Now, she has every right to have a legal representation or represent herself. She chose to represent herself. In that particular case, I'm like, okay, go ahead, girl. We gonna watch this whole mother-loving garbage fire, this dumpster fire go up in flames, because we already knew the result. But it's her right to make that decision to either have representation or represent herself. She shot herself in the foot a long time ago, all right? But at the same time, let's be real. That's her legal right as a citizen of this country. So again, when we look at situations like this, Carmelo Anthony, I'm sorry, has every single right to represent him, to have the proper representation and raise money to get that said representation. If everybody else has done it, okay, why can't he?
Be a completely legitimate take. So from my perspective, I think anybody should be able to raise as much money as they possibly can for the legal defense, because the money matters. We'd all like to think we live in a world where how many resources you can bring to the legal fight doesn't affect the kind of justice you get. But I guarantee you it does. A $200,000 legal defense is a lot different than a $20,000 legal defense.
No doubt.
And if the left or whoever's on Carmelo Anthony's side politically were to say, hey, he got defunded, that's why he got convicted, there's merit to that argument.
Yes.
And however, what has his family been doing as of late? Now, they say they don't have access to the funds, but they moved into a bigger house in a gated community, got security, and bought reportedly an Escalade. So,
didn't they move into their house like 6 months ago or like 8 months ago before the murder even happened, though?
Is that true? I don't know.
I'm almost certain it
I
was
saw numerous reports saying
summer of 2024.
My understanding is that they had told the judge the reason they couldn't afford the $1 million bail was that they didn't have access to the funds, and they were going to use it to secure new housing and security. And then the judge lowered the bail down by 75%.
Yeah, so part of that, I think there's partial truths. This is the problem, is that partial truths just run wild. I think what we saw was that they were already renting a $900,000 square foot home. They lived in that type of home already. As a result of this situation, they found another one within a gated community to rent as well, so that they could have some security for their family. The Cadillac that was supposed to have been bought recently wasn't. It's a couple of years old. It was bought in 2023. So a lot of these things are mixed up in the media. I think it was a New York Post.
Yeah, New York Post.
Yeah.
I believe The Sun. I believe like even The Independent have all reported this.
Oh, they did. And most of it's been already fact-checked and debunked. It was unreliable sources. And it was a neighbor that said, well, they got a temporary tag on a thing, so they just bought this new vehicle. It's like,
wow.
Most of this stuff, completely unreliable sources, and it's caused narratives. And this is why, I mean, if you watch the interview that the mom did the other day, she addressed some of these things in it, which is just like there's false narratives that are running rampant.
Is that the
See? Okay. And again, like I said, a lot of crazy stuff is being said out here in these streets. And we're seeing it on both sides of the fence, guys. We're seeing it on both sides. Okay. There's rumors, but I mean, obviously right now, there's been a lot more rumors about Carmelo Anthony's family. I mean, shoot, everybody's watching. Everyone's pocket watching that family right now. It's insane. Okay. And for whatever it is, I mean, if that's how they do it, that's, I mean, I'm hearing, I think I saw something of some of them spending like $19,000 on DoorDash alone or something crazy like that. I don't know if that stuff is true. You know what I'm saying? But people are pocket watching the family like crazy. And I wonder if they were doing the same thing for Daniel Penny, Kyle Rittenhouse, Chauvin, any of the people that raised double the amount of money that family has raised so far. I'm wondering if they were pocket watching those guys too. Okay. So again, it's very, very interesting. And you even hear it from one of the co-founders of Give, Send, Go talking about this as well, saying, guys, y'all are spreading a lot of BS and a lot of rumors right now that are not true. And I'm telling you right now, as a source, I'm a source, Give, Send, Go co-founder here. I'm telling you guys, it is not true. And people are still running with these stories. Okay. And still, because they want to paint the family as villains as well, which is crazy. Okay. It's crazy.
the same one that the victim's father showed up to?
Yes.
Brilliant move.
That's crazy.
He showed up. It was absolutely brilliant. I think it kind of shows the circumstance of, people coming after the family and saying like, well, he had no duty to retreat. He could have sat there the entire time. This guy was getting accosted because he sat underneath the tent. Oh, dad shows up to a place that seems like it's open to the public. Then now it's inappropriate for him to be somewhere where he has the legal right to be. Oh my God, the juxtaposition. It's crazy. It's almost like dad did that on purpose and was brilliantly done.
Let's clarify. There are a lot of things that I've seen online where people are so adamant to adjudicate this case before we've gone to trial that they have said things that are incorrect as it pertains to self-defense. I've seen people say things like, you can't use lethal force if someone is simply grabbing you. They say things like, you can't use lethal force unless you've been touched. I've seen things like, you can't use lethal force unless you are facing explicit lethal force. And there's caveats to all of these things. So I asked the lawyer himself, are there circumstances where being grabbed in any scenario, like you can imagine one, where lethal force would be justifiable self-defense?
Absolutely. I mean, everyone's asking the wrong question or answering the wrong question. The question again is, did you have a reasonable perception that you were facing an imminent threat of unlawful deadly force harm? If the answer to that is yes, you can use deadly force in self-defense. And there's an infinite number of ways that can happen.
Wow. That's very interesting.
If someone just grabs you, are they grabbing you and they have a knife in their other hand? Because that's going to be a bad day for you. Are they grabbing you and they're 200 pounds heavier than you? Bad day for you. That could well be a deadly force threat.
What if
You hear that, right? So again, he's sitting there going, well, yeah, I mean, if Karmelo Anthony says out loud, yes, I was fearful for my life, and again, we already know about Austin Metcalf's size. He was a significantly heavier, bigger guy than Karmelo Anthony. There is a possibility that he could literally say that this is self-defense, and that he could have every right to say that. But again, I don't know. You know what I mean? We'll see when we get more information. But I don't have the answers, and nor do I have a verdict on the situation. All I do know is Karmelo Anthony took the life of Austin Metcalf. That is for sure, because right now Austin Metcalf has been laid to rest. Okay, and also Karmelo Anthony admits, he says out loud, I am not alleged. I did that. So that is the truth. All right. And yes, there were plenty of other opportunities, other options that they could have had in the situation. They both could have walked away. Karmelo Anthony could have walked away. Austin Metcalf could have walked away. He could have not brought in the knife to the doggone track meet, etc. There's so many different situations and scenarios that could have gone down where both these kids could still be alive, and that is facts. Let's continue on though, but we don't know how they're going to say how everything's going to transpire in the courtroom, and of course what that evidence looks like. What does that evidence look like? Okay, but let's continue.
What if they grab you and there's 5 guys all around you?
Sure, then there's a disparity of numbers. Then it's the force of the collective group that's threatening you, not just one individual.
What if they don't touch you at all? Are there circumstances where deadly force is?
Yes, of course. If someone comes up to me and opens up their jacket and says, "Give me your wallet," and they show a gun, they haven't touched me. I don't have to suffer a scratch before I can defend myself. I can defend myself against the threat that's about to occur. It's an imminent threat that you're defending yourself against. In fact,
no, but that's the thing though. If he just said, "F you, bro, get out of here," is that an imminent threat? Is that a deadly threat right there? By telling somebody, F you, get out of here? F you, get out from under our tent? This is our tent. This is my team's tent. Where's yours? Go back to yours. Does that mean, boom, hey, that's a threat? I'm wondering, right? But let's continue.
In fact, if some guy runs up and punches you and then he runs away, you can't use force against that guy. The punch is over. The attack's over. That would be vengeance after that.
What if he stabs you and runs away? Same thing?
Same thing. I mean, I know you'd want to.
Yeah, I mean, people would be like, how dare you? But that,
Right.
yeah.
He'd have to continue to represent a deadly force threat to somebody. So if he's running around stabbing people, and so it seems likely he's about to stab someone else after you, but then you're actually shooting him in defense of others, in defense of the people.
So the other important thing too is that all these states are different. So it's hard to know.
They're not that different. It's about 80% the same across the 50 states.
Yeah, you're talking about Tennessee versus Garner, which you were talking about in the car a little bit earlier. That's the fleeing felon rule. Like, what you can use deadly force on a fleeing felon if he's still a threat to others. However, hypothetically, and this is the Tennessee Garner case, if you drop a firearm and you jump a fence and the cop is still chasing after you, he can't plug you in the back. That threat of deadly use of force to the community is no longer present.
Now, but I could also see people saying, well, if he dropped that weapon, how do you know he doesn't have another weapon on him? And you see what I'm saying? So is the threat really gone? Blah, blah, blah. I could see that argument.
Yeah, the issue is not the flight. The issue is, does the person still represent a danger to somebody?
There was that case in Atlanta which sparked those massive BLM riots where a guy he fell asleep. I think he was drunk in a drive-thru. When the officers showed up, he fought them and then stole their taser. So that he was trying to flee, I think. When
two cops. Right. It's hard to make an arrest of someone who doesn't want to be arrested.
Been there before.
So let's say this. In that scenario, the guy steals the taser and begins to run. And the police use deadly force against him now.
If he had just continued running, probably not. But he turned and pointed his taser back at the officer. And I know we think of tasers, and I'll defer to the officer here if he disagrees with what I'm saying. We think of tasers as a non-deadly force weapon because we think of it as being used in a defensive capacity. And when it's used in that way, it is non-deadly force. But a defensive use of a taser or pepper spray, for example, is very different than an offensive use. An offensive use, you're trying to debilitate your victim, presumably not to stop as you would in self-defense, but to continue to use force or predate on them in some way. So being debilitated, no longer able to defend yourself, to my mind, it's no different than getting hit in the head with a baton and getting knocked unconscious. You're helpless now. So an offensive use of these weapons to debilitate someone, I would characterize as deadly force, meaning force likely to cause death or serious bodily injury. So
interesting. Again, like I said, I highly recommend you guys go and check out this discussion, because I think this is a good discussion, talking about this and hitting all the hard questions. Because I know everybody is, everyone has their own opinion, has their own bias about all this, and I truly believe that there is obviously, once we have more proof, once we see more evidence, I think we're going to have a different reaction, right, to everything. It's kind of like when we heard about the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, and then some people reacted one way, but then when they saw the evidence, once they saw the footage, then I think a lot of people has swayed a lot of people to change their minds. Either they believed it was self-defense without a shadow of a doubt, or they actually thought he was taking, that he was out there taking the lives of people. But again, I leave that discussion and that conversation with you guys. Okay. But again, though, I do think that there is quite a bit going on. Now, this is another thing. And the question still remains. Is this self-defense, or is this an unaliving? Was this with intent to take a life? All right. And I think that that's something that still needs to be answered. We don't have the answer yet, but I think that there's going to be a lot of people having a discussion about it. I just say, hey guys, let's try to find a way to keep it nice and even. And I know this is an ugly situation. It's a tragic situation. No matter what way you look at it, it's a tragic situation. But I think that once we have evidence, we're going to hear something different. Now, of course, I can't just play one side of stuff and hear that one side. We have to play some more. Okay, so I do have something from Roland Martin. He had an interview with the spokesperson, Dominique Alexander. He's the spokesperson for the Karmelo Anthony family and Karmelo Anthony. And I think that this is a very interesting conversation here. And yeah, guys, I just want facts. I think just like everybody else, I just want to know exactly what happened here, why it went down. And I think that there are certain things that have not been answered yet. And I'm still waiting for that evidence. I'm still waiting for that stuff. This is still a tragic situation. And that's just where I'm standing. Okay. And I'm also very curious to see what's going to happen as far as the evidence. Once the evidence comes out, this is going to be a new thing. Trust and believe. All right. It's going to be a new thing. Now, when it comes to this Dominique Alexander spokesperson, but because of the track record and all that, it is a very interesting. His track record is interesting. I did look into it. It is a very interesting thing. Okay, to say the least. But I do want to share a little bit of this because I think that the conversation here is interesting. So I'm going to pull this up a little bit into this here. All right.
Framing of the narrative of this has been, this family is broke, destitute, all that sort of stuff. Then it's, how dare they go to this home? How dare they? People who don't understand Dallas-Fort Worth, just describe for them the area where this school is located and the type of homes that exist out there. This is not a low-income area of Dallas-Fort Worth.
Not a single low-income area. Frisco, I'm born and raised in Dallas, Texas. Y'all graduated high school in 2007. Literally, Roland, this area where they were was just late. It was just fields. This is an area that has been developed in the last decade or two. And I know you know that a lot about that, Roland, too. These were fields when I was a kid. literally fields. The median income level is there probably about $150,000. This is not a low income area. This is home of where the Cowboys headquarters is, a number of development. I believe Universal Studios is about to come there. This is not a cheap area. So if you're trying to lease a home or do anything, you're going to live probably in a $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, or $800,000 home, right? If you are leasing in this property. And Roland, man, I just wanted people to see the heart of this family. Just to see that video of the mother saying that was even hard, because here in this office, as people watching that press conference and hearing that mother, it wasn't a dry eye in the building. And especially for people who know Kayla Hayes and know this quiet woman and soul, and that just came from the bottom of her heart, you know, and just the pain, the fear, I've been there to see the pain, the fear of these children and the things that they have had to experience with this situation. And I just want people to understand, you know, the hate hadn't been coming from here. We didn't create it, or we cannot pull a black card. The reality, that's our reality. That's what we live through every day. We can't pull our reality, right? And we ain't gonna apologize for being yet black in America. We ain't gonna apologize for that. And I think what you said, Roland, is important, because that's what set the outrage of most people in America, black people particularly, about this case, to say, hold up, wait a minute now. Y'all going too hard. And then young people started to post that even knew Karmelo Anthony, right? And was saying, Karmelo is not this. Karmelo is a 3.5. His colleagues started standing up for him on social media, right? The kids, the overwhelming support. That's the reason why we told everybody we could not talk about the nuances of the case, because it's so involved. Every last witness to this situation is a minor. We cannot release we can't release the information around it, because there were no adults in that proximity of that area, right?
Like none, no coaches, no nothing. Man, that sucks. That sucks. And then, you know, obviously all that footage that they have is probably faces of nothing but kids, right? Minors and all that stuff. So I'm sure they're going to have to like redact a lot, blur out a lot of faces and all that as well. I'm sure whoever's editing those videos are having a field day, okay? Trying to delete or, you know, blur out people's faces. But again, you know, that's tragic. And it's 3.7 GPA, guys, just so you know. It's not 3.5. He had a grade point average of 3.7, and we're talking about Karmelo Anthony here. Okay. And like I've said before, affluent family, you know, and I know a lot of people like, oh, well, you know, if they got money, then they should have money, but it's like, or they should be able to afford whatever. But at the same time, I'm sure they were living beyond their means too. You know, like I said, they could have been rich broke. And I know that's some people were laughing at that. And, you know, it was a joke in the beginning, but that's real. There's plenty of rich broke people out here. We see them all the time. We see them every day. Okay. They have the nicest clothes. They got the nicest purse. They got the nicest ride, but they literally are a slave to their own, to the stuff that they actually have. Right. They're a slave to that brand new whip that they just got. Right. They barely have any food in their cupboards at home, you know, barely gas in the car, but they still got that ride and it's fire. But they're a slave to the material things that they have surrounding their lives. So again, they could be rich broke. They could be. And something that's put in consideration, guys. It's a hard truth and it's a hard possibility.
Right? All of the witnesses to this are minors. And that's one of the things we wanted to give clarity to today, to make sure people understood the facts, because there's so many different moving parts. But as soon as I release one of those kids' name or even an inkling around it, I become legal liability civilly and criminally.
Interesting.
Just for folks who are watching, just so they can understand, again, how this is being played out. I'm trying to connect here. If you go to Twitter, and I call it Twitter, you go to Twitter and you type in Karmelo Anthony mug, Karmelo mug. We have a connection problem. What you will see is mostly white conservative accounts angry, mad, and upset. There we go. Look at this. Karmelo Anthony's family has no shame, allegedly selling Justice for Karmelo t-shirts for $25 to profit off his killing of Austin Metcalf while flaunting a $150,000 Cadillac Escalade and a $3,000 a month gated community rental. Does this send the wrong message? And then you see disgusting, the family of alleged murderer Karmelo Anthony. Then, of course, it's no shock you got black conservative grifter Brandon Tatum. What does he post? When a community celebrates the accused instead of mourning the victim, it's a sign of serious cultural rot. This merch launch for Karmelo Anthony is shameful and deeply concerning for what lies ahead for the black community.
Now, I'm curious, though. Is this true? The T-shirt being sold by the family? Like that's what I want to do. Or that's what I want to know, right? Because there's been a lot of conversation about them selling T-shirts with Karmelo's face on it. Is it truly the family behind that or not? Let's hopefully they answer that here in this video.
Here's why. And then, of course, he goes on, and we all know Brandon Tatum, it will be as anti-black as you can get because he's grifting off of MAGA. And here's somebody respond to him right here saying, if it is self-defense, stand your ground applies in Texas, and it is you who is wrong. So what Brandon Tatum is saying is, oh, he's saying celebrating the accused. So what Brandon Tatum, Dominique, and all these other white conservatives, what they are saying is that if you are accused of a crime, you don't get the same benefit as George Zimmerman. You don't get the same benefit as Kyle Rittenhouse, who they celebrated and raised money for. They're like, oh no, Karmelo Anthony is guilty until proven innocent. So therefore he's the murderer. So he shouldn't get due process. The family should not, people shouldn't be giving money to a defense fund. And again, their framing is that this black thug killed a perfect football star who's white. That's the framing of this, and that's how this thing is played out in media and social media.
Correct. It is. And yet Twitter is yet, because of the oligarch that owns it now, is yet a nesting breed for yet extremists to yet just go in and command the algorithms and just put a whole bunch of different things. That's the reason why our organization don't even check that stuff, don't even do anything on that yet platform. Because of the simple fact that we know that that is a nesting ground for conservative, right-wing extremists and hateful people to use that platform to put out disinformation. And they've been doing this they've been doing this ever since this platform was purchased by Elon Musk. But at the end of the day, I think that people are really understanding exactly what's going on. And that's the reason why we felt like it was important for us to have this press conference today to say, listen, what we aim to do is literally allow you to attack, discredit, destroy our black baby. These platforms have been used to raise $2 million for Kyle Rittenhouse and a whole lot of people before Karmelo Anthony's fundraiser was on there, right? And if he can raise $2 million, why can't our baby raise $500,000 for his legal defense, right?
And but like he's got a point there. He has every right to do that. Okay, he has every right. They have every right to raise money. But I am kind of curious about the T-shirts. You know, are the T-shirts really them, or is that just some other troll, some other jerk off trying to get a quick bag off this situation? You know what I mean?
And so the reality is people are seeing this double standard, and it's clear. They don't feel like these laws that were created, that many of us was there in the Texas legislature saying, hey, you don't need to allow permitless carry. We don't need stand your ground laws. We don't need them. But you kept them on the book. And yet, since you kept them on the book, it ain't just for you. It's for all of us. And that's just what it is. That's final. I don't want to, you kept them on the book when we fought to make sure that George Zimmerman was held accountable for the death of Trayvon Martin. You kept them on the book. We testified in the Texas legislature, in the Florida legislature, in many legislatures that I know personally. I have traveled to speak against stand your ground laws and all these different types of things. But since you kept them on the book, I don't care about what you're trying to say now. These laws are for everyone.
And here's the thing, whether you like it or not, he has a point right there. These laws are made for everyone. These laws are not supposed to be biased. They're supposed to be there for any person, whether they're black, white, whether they're guilty, whether they are innocent. It doesn't matter. These laws are there for those reasons, for all. Again, though, this is something that's very interesting, okay? Because again, whether you agree with Dominique's past and all that stuff. I mean, I even heard that there's somebody else in the family, not in his family, but I mean the Metcalf family has a checkered past as well. I mean, it is what it is. I kind of keep my distance on that stuff for right now. But I will say I don't think it's the greatest rap sheet for with Dominique Alexander. But however the family decided to stick with him, that's the decision that they made. I can't tell them to not be represented by Dominique or not. Okay. But he is the person that they chose, and he is still going to be that person unless he steps down. That's the only other thing I can say. You know what I mean? Yes, that's their business. Again, I do think that's interesting, right? No matter what. I mean, what swayed them to be like, yeah, let's keep him representing us? That is something I'm very curious about for sure. But other than that, okay, the law isn't being questioned. No, you're right. The laws aren't being questioned. But what I'm trying to say is I agree with what he's saying. These laws are here for everyone. Okay, just like this Give, Send, Go account. Okay, I know that's not the law. Okay, but at the same time, it is there for everyone. People have gone and raised countless dollars over there for people that you and I may or may not have agreed with. Okay, thought that they were guilty as sin right off the bat before they even walked into their courtroom. But they also have a right to raise the money that they see fit to use for what they need. Okay, as far as legal representation. So again, I think it's going to be very interesting what happens here over as time continues as we start to get closer and closer to some sort of court hearing or something. But again, like I said, the sides are interesting. Okay. Both sides, how we've been seeing things has been very, very interesting. And yes, I know, like, this is extremely polarizing. You can see it in the family chat as in the family chat right now. You can see it in the internet. When you look on TikTok, it's very split down the middle. Either people are saying they're for or they're against. There's a lot of misinformation that's flying out here like crazy. All right. And again, like I said, it's very important that we stick to what we have as far as legal documents. Those things are important. Those police reports, those arrest reports are incredibly crucial for right now until there's more information that comes out. I also say that we have to be very, very careful on where we retrieve our information, because people are out here making up all kinds of stuff. I've seen TikToks and YouTube videos of people saying that Karmelo Anthony was actually getting robbed by both the Metcalf boys. We don't know about that. Like I said, there's so much information out here that is so off and wrong. To just feed one specific narrative is bad. And so I think we should just lean on the information that we have, okay, which is the legal documents, the legal pieces of information, okay, because that's all we got. And then we should all stop being upset about Karmelo Anthony raising money. That's his right. That's his right. And we just heard that in that Tim Pool podcast, that little snippet that chunk that we listened to, right? Because he has to have rights. He has rights too. And God forbid, if they shut off his funds and then he doesn't get the proper representation, they can use that. If he's found guilty, let's just say he's found guilty of a first degree, all right? There is still a possibility of them sitting there saying, hey, wait a second. Because we got shut off, we could not afford the right type of legal representation. We got to run this back. That's a possibility. So again, I say, let them raise their money. Let them get the best lawyer and the best representation that money can buy, and let them duke it out in court. And then when we see this evidence, when we hear more about this, man, it's going to be very interesting, because a lot of us that are saying one side might change their thoughts immediately after they see more evidence. But I'm telling you right now, the footage is going to come out. The footage is going to come out. It's going to leak. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but it's coming soon. Trust and believe. We just have to be a little bit more patient. And I say just stop pocket watching. Just let them do what they need to do, man. You also got to remember that father who is, it's a single earning household. Okay. It's not a dual earning household. The mother is a homemaker. She is she stays at home. The father is the only one that brings home the bacon. If he is that nervous and that scared about going out to the public, imagine the amount of money that he's not making right now. It's been what? It's been 19 days since the tragedy. Imagine 19 days of not working because you're scared to step out of your own home because people are out here threatening your life. And you're like, I didn't even do it. It was my son. Why am I getting attacked? Right? There's a lot of anxiety. And I know a lot of people are like, why are you hiding behind the wife, man? Well, maybe he was nervous. Maybe he has crippling anxiety. You never know. We don't know these people. Like I said, it's like we don't know what is going on, and you never know. The money that he was making probably got shut down once he started staying at home because he's scared for his life. I'm just saying, those are things to think about. Those are things to think about. Again, if they raise that money and they're using it for legal representation, then so be it. Let them do it. Let them have their time. Let him have his time in court. And let him be found guilty or not guilty, whatever it is that they end up, however the jury sees fit. But like I said, we still need to know what the hell happened here. And I think that whether this is self-defense or not, I think those are very important, a very important conversation, right? What is the level? What is the degree of deadly force? And how are they going to present that in court, especially for the defense? Is it just Austin Metcalf said a few things and advanced towards Karmelo? Or is it literally he put his hands on him and what if he grabbed him and picked him up? That could scare any person, right? I'm just saying. If he really did grab him, those are some things that we need to ask those questions and figure out what degree of force, of deadly force, was actually implemented in this conversation. Or was it just, or did that not even exist and all of this was unwarranted? Like I said, when we see the evidence, once we see the footage, we're going to see some things. Trust. True crime. Thank you so much. Dominique has a pass, but Trump has over 30 felonies. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, his charges are Dominique's charges are crazy though. They crazy though, guys. They crazy. Grateful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I really appreciate your point of view, Pascal. Thank you so much. Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Let's see. Wisdom. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. The footage will speak for itself. I'm sorry. I hope the twin gave a truthful statement. R.I.P. Austin. See, that's the thing too. With all due respect, we're playing all possibilities here. I'm going to keep it a bean because we don't have everything yet. We don't know everything yet. But I am curious if the brother, his twin brother, Hunter, is actually telling 110% the truth. You also got to remember, or maybe because he was still in shock, you got to remember the interviews and all that happened so quickly after the demise of this young man, okay, of this young man, all right? So I am kind of curious if he was saying everything spot on or if there was some pieces of information that may have been left to the side. But like I said, because there's rumors and there's alleged eyewitness accounts out here saying that both twins were going after Karmelo. I want to hear the proof of that. We also heard the mama say that. Karmelo Anthony's mom said this has everything that has to do with the incident between Karmelo and those Metcalf boys. She said Metcalf boys. She didn't say what happened between Karmelo, my son Karmelo, and Austin Metcalf. She said Metcalf boys. So what is being told to her What did Karmelo tell her? Because why would she say Metcalf boys? And then, of course, you got to ask, is he telling the truth? Because he could easily be lying too. He could easily be saying, oh, it was self-defense when it was nothing like self-defense. He just pulled out the knife and just started going at him. That's possible too, guys. We got to leave everything on the table. I know it's frustrating and everyone's like, Pascal, you need to pick a side, blah, blah, blah. No, I don't. Shoot. I want to see the facts. Everybody chill. Let's see what happened. We don't have to automatically go 10 toes down on one side. Sit on the doggone fence until you get the footage. And then when we see the footage, oh, we're going to be like, oh, he did that. Oh, damn. Oh, he did that. Or no, that was definitely self-defense. Oh, my Lord, those guys went after him. I'd be terrified too if I was him, blah, blah, blah. You never know. Like I said, everyone needs to chill the F out and wait for evidence to come out. But it's interesting that the mom said Metcalf boys. She did not say Austin Metcalf. So I instantly go, well, maybe Hunter was a part of it too, but he didn't say that in the interviews because maybe he's scared. That's still a possibility. He is scared and he was a part of the situation. And then it caused his brother to lose his life. Or Karmelo totally lying, just making it up and saying it's self-defense because he can't even handle the idea that he lost his cool and killed somebody. That's the other possibility as well. Like I said, there's layers to this, y'all. There's layers of possibilities, and it could be a multitude of different combinations. You never know. So we got to wait and find out what's going on before we just go 10 toes down on one side and start going after each other and getting nasty with each other. It's ridiculous, guys, because we don't have everything yet. And some of y'all think you know. Some of y'all think you're God and know everything. And it's like, no, you aren't. You don't know everything. So let's wait. Come on. Let's wait. But we will talk about the updates and the things that are revolving around this case, because these things do matter. And I care. I want to find out how this turns out. Okay. I think we all want to know how this is going to turn out. So give it some time. Still percolating for sure. It definitely is. But that is the show, guys. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really means a lot. Real talk. I appreciate all y'all. Okay. Thank you so much. And yeah, I get the passion. I appreciate the passion. Sometimes it gets a little misdirected. And that's okay too. We just all got to remember to hit that reset button and chill out, right? But anyway, guys, I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really means a lot. Do me a favor before you head out, hit that like button down below, crush it, do what it do, hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. If you are watching on those other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, make sure you are hitting that follow button over there. Hit that subscribe button here too, please. All right? Hit that subscribe button over on my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips. There's a lot of stuff going on. The news be newsing horde out here in these streets. It's insane. But nonetheless, we got to have these conversations. All right. So subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell on both platforms. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. Check out my locals. And of course, check out PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there, guys. PascalMerch.com. I'm telling you. You'll find something to love over there. Go check it out. All right, guys. It's time to get going. Much love to you guys. Have a great, calm, and easy night. We'll talk very soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.